curious what other folks are doing for local MFA, particularly for Linux. Right over with SSH, you can it's easier, but if you have a situation where you are authenticating with AD on Linux, I wonder what MFA solutions folks are using out there.
Well, that's a great question. I haven't run across Linux in any of the assessments I've been doing. Sean, have you run across any MFA solutions for Linux?
No, we use Duo for all of our stuff, but I mean, we use Duo just in general, but I don't know what to say as far as like what multi-factor solution works with CMMC at this point. I'm kind of clueless on that one, man.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much any MFA solution that will work. I mean, there's no dictation about what it has to be or anything like that. But I just don't know what's available out there for Linux. I just don't. It's just not my bailiwick.
Let me see here. Duo. Yes, Duo works on Linux. Duo Unix.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, Chad, we were just talking about seeing if we can dig up some solutions for Linux. I guess it's desktops or laptops, John?
Yeah, no, it's for local logon on Linux workstations. When you're physically sitting in front of the normally Duo will work, but we actually had Duo on a call. But for this use case, Duo wouldn't work. Where if you're it's more like two hubs authenticating via on-prem Active Directory credentials on Linux workstation. Because of that two-hub authentication, they were like Duo couldn't figure it out. So I was just curious if I was curious if anybody had run into that where you're not just logging in directly to Linux. If you are, then Duo will work, Google Authenticator will work. But if you have like those two hubs where you're not using a local account on the Linux box, but you're using Active Directory, on-prem Active Directory as the authentication source. And now if you now want to add a second layer of MFA to it runs into issues. That's where even Duo didn't work. We had like Duo engineers on the call. So I was just curious if somebody had run into that situation.
That's a little bizarre, actually. I don't understand why they wouldn't be able to solve that.
Yeah, literally, we had Duo engineers on the call. They were like, nope, that Duo will not work for that use case. We have Duo, right, already deployed where for SSH, right, and it works well. But once you're physically in front of the device and you're trying to authenticate via AD and then try to use Duo as MFA, then that fails.
So you're saying that the Linux solution will work if you're using local credentials?
Yes.
But if you try and use Active Directory credentials against the Linux machine, it won't work.
Correct.
Huh.
Well, I guess a way around that, and I know, it may not be a great way to do it, but I wonder, it's just, just thinking hodgepodging it. Like, you could still have local creds. I know you could do this with Microsoft stuff, and I'm not a Linux dude, but like with Microsoft stuff, if you're just accessing SMB shares or something like that, like what does these Linux machines do exactly?
So they are like mainly used for engineering workstations. So they host engineering applications. The short answer is they're used for engineering applications. And another complexity is that the home folder is hosted on a separate server, right? So I think is that multiple authentication hub. I think that increases the complexity and makes Duo to puke. So, but to answer your question, they are used for engineering applications, that the clients use for work. So and the home directory for these Linux devices are hosted on a separate VM on the network as well. So I think the additional authentication hubs affect the traditional or the primary way Duo works. Because Duo is like a one-to-one where basically a one-to-one design. So for me, I hadn't run into that issue. So I ran into it, recently, and I've not found any solution yet. So I was just curious to see if any other company out there ran into.
Yeah, sounds.
Hey, Elliot?
Yeah.
Elliot,
Sounds like that might not work out though. Because it doesn't sound like you can use local permissions anyways.
Where's my password?
No, we can't. Yeah, we basically the architecture is using on-prem AD as the primary source for authentication for this use case. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Huh. I'd be curious if you find something there.
All right. Well, what other topics? Probably didn't get a satisfactory answer on that one, but it's a good topic to maybe bounce into the chat on Slack and see if anybody else has heard anything or knows anything. That'd be a good topic to pop in there, John. You might get some answers.
Okay. Thank you. Another thing I had was just curious what other folks are doing for removable media devices, like USB. I know some, even for some of my clients, they block USB completely, but some others are trying to do allow by exception, where only company issued USB. But I know Threat Locker is a solution out there, but not everybody wants to use Threat Locker, and I don't even know if Threat Locker is FedRAMP.
They're working on it right now.
And a lot of companies are working on it, but for USB, so to block USBs or control USBs, is that what you're asking, John?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a number of EDR kind of platforms that I've seen that are FedRAMP, like CrowdStrike, Falcon is in the marketplace. Now I'm losing it. There's a couple others. It's not just CrowdStrike, but there's a couple other EDR kind of platforms that are in the marketplace that can be used. Carbon Black is one.
You can block too with Intune.
Yeah, and that's definitely that's what I use in our own company. I'm using Intune to block it, but the question is more so, Sean, allowing by exception. Do you allow with Intune? And I have it on my to-do list to actually test it out. Sometimes marketing material and reality are different, right? So it's one thing. But go ahead. Have you tested the allow by exception via Intune?
So, like, are you saying disallow, and if someone really needs to, they can click a button and then administrators see it, and then you click that button and they are allowed to use that?
It's more so disallow everything except this specific list of USB devices, typically company issued or company owned.
Oh yeah. I mean, so you can set up certainly you can set up CrowdStrike to only have identified USBs. So you would register the USB, and then those are the only ones that it'll allow to be used.
Yeah. So like I don't know. From my perspective too, Brian. Like I sit here and I think about like, how less can I get with less stuff? Like, can I get away with not using anything but Office 365 product? And this is like how my mind frame has to work, right? Like, so like, Rick, I mean, I guess it would be interesting. It would be interesting to find out if Intune would allow, if a USB stick had a signature like you're saying, because geez, like we're going, and this has been my mindset as because I've been trying to think about it, like, as how much of the Microsoft platform can I use? Can I use Windows Defender? Can I use their threat management? Yes, probably for endpoint protection. Can I use Intune to do group policy management and all that sort of stuff? Yes. Can I use Sentinel to do log collection and show the C3PAO, all that sort of stuff? Hopefully, yes. That's gonna be my deal. So like I'm hoping to check all the boxes, with as much as possible as Office 365 stuff without having to add on to more of the cost. Because Lord knows there's going to be enough cost for a client to choke down. And also thinking about it, the more stuff that I get on to their premises is the less money I'm going to make on this deal too. So the more I can shovel onto Office 365, the better.
And that,
it'd be interesting to see. We're in the midst right now of doing some weirdo stuff with like conditional access policies and stuff with Intune and all that sort of stuff. So, it'd be an interesting thread to have in Slack, in regards to USB sticks. And can you create an exception based on a certificate or whatever friggin' thing you can mark? However you can mark a USB stick to be certified within Intune.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just trying to Google it real quick to see if I could get like a real quick answer, but it just talks about blocking. How block or allow features. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Yeah, so those are good topics because everybody's going to hit those topics. So that's good. And I like your view too, Sean, because CrowdStrike and some of these other Sentinel One, all these products that'll do it, and but there's some pricey solutions.
Here's what ChatGPT says. I'll just post it right in the chat.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Good.
It says yes, you can manage and restrict the use of and include allowing only specific USB sticks that are company approved. This could be achieved by creating a policy that allows specific device IDs while blocking all others. Here's how you can do this. So maybe you have to get the device ID.
Yeah, but that would be just the type. Like you're trying to specify just a single USB stick, right?
Right.
Oh, so device ID in this case, they just mean a type of device?
Yeah, so you'd basically block that type of USB and then allow others like headsets, mice, and everything else.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's saying that it can also allow you to go one layer down to specify a particular USB device and not just a type or group. And I'm already testing this already, and so far it's not working. So I'm continuing to troubleshoot. So maybe I can let you know once I figure out the solution. But the Microsoft documentation says it's possible, but the testing has not lined up with that documentation. But I'll let you know what I find.
Sounds like Microsoft.
That looks like maybe as a device instant path. I become an expert on everything with ChatGPT. I feel like, sure. Right? I know everything. Just ask me anything. I'll defeat any job interview, so long as I have my ChatGPT. That so much of the time is absolutely baloney, right? So that's in my experience. It's really, but gosh, it's so hit or miss. I feel like, but like looking at it says something about device instance ID. So you know how you could go into the properties, like if you're in Device Manager, and then go into the properties, and then there's one of those little insider things that says device instant path or device ID.
I already did that. I had to.
Oh, you did.
I plugged in the USB device, went to the properties. You scroll down multiple. You go to the properties, and then you have to. You're gonna get a list of different options. Then from there, you select the part ID and all of that. So, with anything Microsoft, it might just require a little bit more tweaking to get it to work. But at least I think it's good news that Microsoft is saying that it's possible. It's just and when the first time you do such things, they might request back and forth. So I'll let you know but so far
Yeah.
it has not worked yet. And also, I am with you on to see how much we can do with Microsoft. Literally even for our own company, getting ourselves ready to be 100% CMMC compliant. We're going all in Microsoft. Right now we have ThreatLocker, but I'm trying to see if we can go the route of the Microsoft that way. Because with ThreatLocker, there's a minimum number of seats you have to have, right? So
Yeah.
right now I'm ending up having to pay much more than we need, right? So, but yeah, so far Microsoft has really proved good enough for us for vulnerability management. We're using Defender for endpoints. We're using the Sentinel for SIEM. So yeah, really, over 90% of our solution is Microsoft. And I think once you eliminate ThreatLocker, we'll be almost there in terms of
I
using.
have a crap ton of extra ThreatLocker seats as well. I have one client that uses it on one machine, and I have a bunch of extras. It's like I see also you might be able to do it with a certificate with Intune as well, perhaps. Just another idea. Neither confirm or deny that I got that idea off of ChatGPT as well.
You don't know until we test it out, huh?
Yeah. Proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, definitely need to get the community in on this one. See what they can come up with. Yeah, lower cost solution will be great.
Yeah.
And alternative solutions if depending on how the final rule comes out, right? Because if it's going to require things like ThreatLocker to be instantaneously FedRAMP compliant, or some of these others, we might have more limited options available to us.
Oh, that's very true. And I hear that the FedRAMP can be very expensive for companies
Yeah,
to do.
it's wildly expensive. Now, companies like ThreatLocker, they can afford it, but it just takes time. It takes a lot of time and energy to do it. So they say they're doing it, so we'll see. They say they're well underway doing it. So, but it's still going to take. It's one of those things you can't make a FedRAMP come out. It just takes a lot of time for FedRAMP and a lot of money. So we shall see. There'll be a lot of products in there that bailiwick. I mean, the whole discussion. I mean, that Sean started last week about ticketing and then the whole RMM dilemma about how we actually can manage these things and not do what Toby suggested on the what Toby was alluding to on the town hall call, which was, hey, we could drive ourselves back into how we did business 20 years ago. And would not be a desirable outcome.
Yeah, because then we're lacking using our service level agreements, such and secondly, it sounds insane to have. I mean, there should be. I'm hoping that there's going to be a good, best in class way to have one single place for us to, put, even if it's in Azure and put our instance of our CRM for our clients within Azure, so that they can all access it. And it's each MSP will have to have its own enclave of that, separate from their existing infrastructure. I'm hoping, but it's funny is that I haven't even had a chance to read what Bobby says on this, and then Kevin Mann wrote back. I haven't even
he
checked him out yet.
Yeah, definitely check that out and see if it scratches the itch a little bit. I know I just saw Bobby. I haven't had a chance to watch him yet, but they just posted their. I don't know if you've any of you guys have ever watched this climbing Mount CMMC podcast.
Yeah,
the Bobby puts out, but he's putting out apparently a couple of his next episodes are going to be about the costs associated with it, and the energy, the things that they've actually done. on their side, which is pretty enlightening because he's made a major investment in getting CMMC. Hey, Tom.
Hi,
That's
sorry.
That's-
Didn't mean to interrupt, but appreciate
No,
it.
that's
Oh,
okay.
good.
We were just talking about
So
different topics.
I'm
that we couldn't
watching-
solve.
I'm watching the whole thing from ground up. I'm on. I can't remember what episode. I think I'm on episode 4 or 5 or something like that. But one of my goals is to watch every one of them because why the frick not? I mean, gosh,
Yeah, there's a lot of good content.
he is single-handedly, I feel like, holding the frickin' flag for the MSPs and doing this. It's like pretty incredible what he's doing. Actually.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know how much traction they've gotten. I've asked him a couple of times what his viewership is, but it's such good content, and I don't think it's getting the traction it should. I don't think it's getting enough views. And the whole MSP community should be watching.
You know what? It's early in the game. It's really early in the game, and it's kind of like Bobby and frankly all of us are kind of getting ahead of the game, even though it feels like we're maybe even late in the game a little bit, you know, like as soon as this really starts going down and the pressure cooker starts and it gets hot in the kitchen, then MSPs all over the place are going to be like, wait, what is CMMC and what the hell is 800-171 and what does that have to do with anything and how do I have to I think we're still early. Really.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's going to be a real challenge. Actually, Tom and I were just talking about this earlier today. I think that MSPs are it's going to be a real problem if companies love their MSPs, and if the MSP is ignoring CMMC, and it comes down to, well, I can't get my contracts unless my MSP is CMMC level 2. I'm going to have to find another MSP. And that's going to be really a major breakage, right?
Right. Well, I think what also is going to you're going to see, and you're already seeing in the market, is other MSPs calling other MSPs that have this capability and being like, "Hey, what are you doing? Let's help out. Let's help. Let me help you out." Mm-hmm. I already got a call and an email, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing for CMMC stuff?" As an MSP, I'm receiving this, and I'm like, "Oh, I already got a CCNA, and all this sort of stuff. We're pretty much, we're on our way." And they're like, "Oh, okay, thanks, bye. We didn't realize you had a CCA. Okay, cool." So they were about to give me a sales pitch of like, "Hey, oh, you don't have a roadmap?
Oh, I see.
Blah blah blah, and so I kind of wish I didn't say anything. I kind of wanted to hear what the sales pitch was gonna be. Yeah, I should have been like, and I've thought about it for like weeks. Like, damn, I should have just been like, no, we don't have a CMMC strategy, and I don't know anything about it. How can you help me? Let's see what they said,
Yeah.
I guess I could reach back out to him actually and be like, hey, my CCA left, and now I do need help. How can you help me? Actually, I might do that.
Yeah, why not?
Just to friggin' figure out what in the hell's going on. All right, I'm doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, are any of you guys, other than Tom? I know Tom's a Maryland-based company, and I know Sean is not. But John or Chad, are you guys Maryland-based companies by any chance?
What company?
Are you Maryland? Are you in Maryland? What state are you in?
No, I'm in Colorado.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because Toby Musser just sent me a text a little while ago, and he works with a not-for-profit called a Maryland Cyber Range up in Baltimore. They just got a tranche of grant money to provide CCA training to up to 25 people for free. Yeah. So, but they have to be Maryland companies because it's a Maryland grant. So I told Tom about it already, so I'm going to get him hooked up. But yeah, I'm trying to find. And so if you know Maryland companies and they have CCPs that want to be CCAs,
yeah, that's freaking.
Let us know.
They'll pay for the Edwards. They'll pay for the Edwards training and all that.
I'm not sure what training they're using, but they're using Corinne Wise, who's one of the Edwards instructors, and so I don't know. I don't know what training curriculum she uses there. It used to be they used to be using the Edwards curriculum, but I haven't talked to them in a couple of years because I sold them on using the Edwards curriculum back when I was at Edwards.
That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, and I'm hoping that's the case because it's the best training. It's the best material.
I got an email from Cyberfish or something like that recently about CMMC training.
Don't know them.
I think it was Cyberfish.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. There's the classes are filling up, so I'm hoping that that means that you're going to have enough people, more people qualified. I'm almost more interested in companies, the OSCs and certainly the MSPs, getting in there and getting the CCP training as I am assessors, because assessments can go so much quicker if you actually go into an organization and they know what they're talking about. So,
yeah.
I mean, we're going to help everybody out on the MSP CyberX trying to get up to speed on it, but it helps to have in-house.
I just forwarded you Lionfish Cybersecurity Risk.
Oh, Lionfish. Yeah, Lionfish. They're out of Indiana. I know them.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, they have a CCP and a CCA class. Yeah,
they're an LTP. So they're a licensed training provider.
Jeremy Miller.
I know they don't use Edwards curriculum, so they're using the wrong curriculum, but they're a trainer. I don't know anything about them. I mean, I've met them. I know Jeremy Miller, but I don't know how good their training is. Hey, Tom, before you got on, we were talking about Linux workstations and two-factor authentication solutions for them. Do you have any familiarity with MFA on Linux by any chance?
No.
Okay. I just shot in the dark.
No.
Okay. Very good.
Something. Yeah. I'm surprised people using for Linux-based workstations or servers.
Yeah. Linux-based workstations.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't come across that yet.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I hadn't either. So we were kind of brainstorming a little bit on that. And then we were talking about USB, selective USB allowing. I didn't form that sentence well. Allowing USB selectively. There we go.
Yeah.
And whether Intune could do it or not. So we haven't.
I can't imagine that
solution to that.
Can't imagine that Intune can't, because it is a configuration within it, within AD to be able to block it. So Intune would be aware of it. I'd be surprised, but
what we're wondering is if it can actually be, in what we haven't been able to test, find out enough information, or nobody's tested it yet, is to see if you can specify USBs, but only these USBs that the company has bought and have, these, this ID, right?
Right.
Whether it can get down that granularity, or whether it's just you can either block or allow USBs.
No. So for some of the organizations that we've worked with, we have gone into to restrict USB so that so they either just can't mount flash drives or any kind of removable media, but yet keyboards, those things will work. And then there are the encrypted USB drives that have the hardware encryption that have to have the application, and that's how we're managing it. So it only works with those USB devices that have the application, so that you can encrypt to actually get into the device itself.
Oh, so Intune is just basically blanketly blocking them, but then the application overrides that?
No,
how that works?
Sorry, two separate things. If they're not using USB at all, right, then we just block USB. If they are using USB, we make sure that it's just back to training, and these are the only USB that they can use, and then we're buying the USB devices that have the specific encryption on them, that you have to have the application in order to be able to move files to and from it.
Oh, gotcha. But from the app, from the IT, from the Intune perspective, you're turning on the capability, but you're just training the individuals not to use anything other than the ones they provided.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
What type of encryption, Tom, you using? Curiously.
That's a great question. Now that yeah, I got to go back and even remember the tool and the platform that we were using for that. So I'd have to.
I know there's like Actifile, which is one that I've seen around, and
Yeah.
all this.
Well, shoot. There's a couple of there's like two or three USB stick manufacturers that have
Like
actually
IronKey?
gotten their product through. Yet YubiKey might be one of them. Have gotten their product through FIPS compliance. So they're FIPS 140-2 certified.
What'd you say, Chad? Sorry.
Oh, I was saying the IronKey is FIPS certified.
IronKey.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so that's one of them. There's another one that's not that. But anyway, but there are some out there. If you just Google FIPS compliant USB devices, and they'll all come up. So
Write that down.
that is a potential solution, and it is a compliant solution, John. Just to do training and policy and have it it administratively controlled, but then that you can only use the devices that are issued by IT and do it that way. It doesn't have to be a technical solution, but it could. It's better if it is, but it doesn't have to be, because we all know that users will still pick up USBs and to see what's on them. They'll stick them in their machine. All right. What else? What other topics? What's hot that you want to talk about today? Tom, you got anything? We're just throwing out ideas. It's just free form, man.
Well,
That's how
I
these
want to
work.
know. I really want to know, like foundationally, what people are doing. Like Tom, you're an MSP, and Chad, are you an MSP?
Yes.
So, like, what are you guys going to do for a CRM?
Just to go back, I am not an MSP. And yeah, I work with organizations on the implementation side of CMMC. I've worked with a bunch of MSPs,
Okay.
but I'm the cybersecurity.
Yeah, Tom's one of my hand-selected cybersecurity SMEs that I brought in on MSP CyberX.
Perfect. That's cool. But Chad, what are you doing for a CRM?
I don't have a plan. That's why I'm joining these calls to see what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Welcome to the we don't know party.
Yeah. It's all up in the air, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for us, for CRM, we've tried Pipedrive, but since we're on GCC High, Pipedrive doesn't work with GCC High.
Wait, what is it called?
Pipedrive, PIPE, pipe as in water pipe, and then drive. I'll put it in the chat.
Is that a CRM?
Yes.
Are you back to Chad? Are you using like ConnectWise or AutoTask, or what are you using right now?
Yeah, we're Kaseya House.
So you use the Kaseya internal. Oh, well, you're AutoTask then.
Yep, and then ConnectWise we use locally hosted.
Oh, so you do. Oh, so if you're RMM, you're Kaseya, and then for your PSA, you're ConnectWise.
Correct.
Okay, you're exactly like us. We're all on-prem, though. Are you in the cloud currently?
We are all on-prem currently.
Wow, you're just like Toby, me. John, what about you?
Totally Microsoft. So obviously, right now some of our clients use Ninja RMM, but obviously that's not FedRAMP compliant. Some use TeamViewer, not FedRAMP compliant. So we are currently trying to figure out a replacement. But yeah, right now not a Kaseya or ConnectWise shop.
Wait, say that last part again.
I said right now we are not a Kaseya or ConnectWise shop.
Okay, you said you're using Microsoft though?
Yes, for other things.
Jira, you said? Or did I miss?
Yeah, maybe you missed. Maybe you missed it. I was saying we pretty much use Microsoft where possible, and for ROMM we have a few clients using. We have some using. We have both Ninja and TeamViewer, but obviously we are
Ninja.
working to. Yeah, we're working to replace those.
Okay, yeah. So, like, just so you know, I've been like messing with Beyond Trust. I'm looking on possibly jumping on them because, like, we use Ninja as a secondary method to get into our servers and stuff in case our like Kaseya decides to roll over and die. So if our Kaseya rolls over and dies, we have Ninja as a backup. But since I've been in the CMMC thing, I figured out that Beyond Trust is way cheaper than Ninja because Ninja is like a whole product suite. Ninja is an actual RMM, but you're not going to be able to use that for obviously for CMMC. The potential I kind of feel like is Beyond Trust for remote management, but if you can get Kaseya in there on prem and ConnectWise on prem, then you don't need Beyond Trust too. So it's kind of like
Well, one question for the on-prem model, right, is so. For example, there's a solution we deployed in GCC High, deployed it on a virtual machine in GCC High, but the vendor still has reach back, to check the number of licenses, right? We are running, that we are using number of users. So how do you address that concern for CMMC when you bring in like Kaseya or ConnectWise on-prem? The question is, does Kaseya or ConnectWise, do they have any access to that application, even though it's running in your on-prem environment, in your network? What kind of access do they have? And if they have access, does that bring them in scope for CMMC?
yeah, right. No, that's
So is that
questions.
mainly for license management? So they're just getting just license management they're getting access, or are they pushing updates and things like that too?
That's the second thing as well. So, Brian, the bottom line is that this is another third-party organization that has access to your environment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's for me. That's one of the things I'm trying to. Okay, if we take these solutions on-prem, how do we now make sure that these guys, are they going to be an SPA? Are they going to be CRMA? Are they so?
Yeah, I mean, if they have direct access in, they are definitely a security protection asset.
That is really well said, John. I did not think about that when it comes to on-prem ConnectWise and Kaseya, because they're going to be doing updates and such, and can they just like SSH or what? I don't know, probably not SSH or whatever. Can they just jump right in and start looking at the database? Can they just see the entire database or what?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's and I'm seeing this increasingly. Obviously, with the FedRAMP requirements, a lot of companies are scrambling to figure out alternatives. For example, one other customer reached out recently. They want to deploy an AI solution for proposal writing, and obviously we can't host it in the cloud because it's a commercial cloud. The only option is to bring it in-house. But then they're still going to have access, to make updates to that AI solution. So again, the question is, okay, if they're going to have access, how do we make sure that, number one, what kind of access are they going to have? And so that, for me, that's one of the questions I have with bringing these solutions in-house. Is even though we're bringing it in-house, the vendor themselves still have some kind of asset, right? And how can we prove to CMMC assessors that, hey, we know exactly what assets they have, and then make sure we classify them appropriately?
Right. Yeah. Well, this gets into what Bobby starts talking about with climbing Mount CMMC is that you would need the cooperation of the vendors to be able to tell you. But then he said, even in his podcast that I'm listening to, he says things like, sometimes when you go at a vendor, it's really hard to get that information and they're not as open because you're getting into like kind of the nitty gritty of, you're kind of looking under their dress, for lack of a better word, and how vulnerable are they willing to get? And it's kind of like, and Bobby says it really well, actually. Like, he's like, yeah, it's like the culture of a vendor needs to kind of shift a little bit from the perspective of being open to, realizing that we're in a position with CMMC and we have to get real vulnerable and
Mm-hmm.
and all this with where things are really at. It's interesting.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting dialogue to have. I wonder if I just had lunch with Max Berger yesterday, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe I can drag him in, or he could drag
Dude.
one of his product directors in.
Dude, that'd be fabulous. Yeah,
Talk about
because
that.
we all had that meeting when we were at Kaseya Connect or
Yeah.
whatever it was called. And now that we're in this discussion in particular, it would be good to know, like let's say, we want to use Kaseya on-prem in GCC High, right? Like, this is Kaseya selling licenses.
Yeah.
This is Kaseya potentially becoming like a standard in the MSP community for,
Mm-hmm.
allowing them to be a solution and be like, hey, if you do it like this, you have a conversation with C3PO, and to John's point, like, yeah, they're a SPA or a CR. I'm freaking still not 100% familiar with those terms, but I get it in terms. It's like, yeah, they have to be a named thing inside of the all the controls and the security policy, all that sort of stuff. So it's like, how do we name them, and can Kaseya help us name them in the way that a C3PO can look at it and be like, okay, yes, you are blessed, my child.
Yeah, and so and what I mean, I guess they'll, well, I don't know if that would be any different than anything else with license management. I mean, so, well, of course, Microsoft's looked at their own stuff, but for license management, I mean, what is the model, right? I mean, so they're selling you the PSA. Are they charging you? They're not charging you by how many clients you have, right? They're just charging you for your use, right?
Wait, you're talking about Kaseya's stuff?
Yeah, anybody's stuff, like ThankWise or Kaseya. But I mean, what's their pricing model, and why would they care how many? I mean, unless for other products, I get it, right? Where there are a certain number of licenses that you're pushing agents out to your clients, and there's a certain number of clients you're going to use. But for things like Autotask or BMS, or ConnectWise,
they charge you per technician, effectively.
Oh, okay. So it's still
it's not per client. It's not per client in that model. In the from a PSA perspective, they're charging you per engineer that accesses it, right?
All right. So they would still want to have insight into that so that they can bill you appropriately.
How many engineers you have? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the PSA side, and then of course the RMM side is going to be per seat.
Yeah.
In both platforms, whether you're, for Kaseya, it'll be, per Kaseya agent you have. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to get Bobby on that conversation, because I know, well, I don't know, but I think he has kind of brought the RMM on-prem in his GCC High environment, but I'm not sure what one they're using, or if they really are using a true RMM. I'm not sure what his architecture is. He's probably told me before, I just can't remember.
I'm reading his response right now.
Yeah. Shell Phillips might have some insight in that too. They were working on some solutions to that. Cool. All right. As usual, I think I'm really digging what's happening in these discussions, because we're bringing up some of the good topics that we need to chew on inside the Slack channel to get everybody get kind of the collective view on these things.
So I had a new client meeting the other day with a brand new client potential, and CMMC language is actually helping me sell a little bit too, because from a security standpoint, I'm kind of bolstering up my strength from a sales point of view. And one thing that I'm still weak at though is asking the exact right questions to understand, if they have only access to FCI or CUI, and do I ask them like, hey, because I'm not in this world, right? Like I'm just an MSP still trying to learn all this. I mean, I have a handful of clients just like Bobby has, like that, but I don't get to see their freaking contracts,
Right.
So I don't know how deep they go into it or like what knowledge. So like, how do I even ask them? It's like, I feel like I need like a list of questions to ask them. Like it would be great. I don't know if Brian or Tom or anybody can come up with like some ammunition for me to be like, here's top 10 questions you want to ask a new sales prospect around, they do. So, all right, maybe they do a little bit of work with the Navy, right? Oh, they do work with the Navy. Oh, we do some work with the Navy, Sean, it says to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, does your document say CUI on it? That's like the best I had. Or, does your contract on it have any clauses on it? That's like, I had that, I didn't even ask it. I had that in my pocket. I didn't even ask it. Like, what else can I ask? That would be super freaking helpful for me, at least.
Yeah, no, I think that's a reasonable request. I have talked to a few folks about that, and it is on the to-do list. So we should add that as I'll just shout it out as an action item to create a sort of walk-in list of questions, so that Copilot will pick it up, and we'll log that as as something we want to work on.
The other thing, Brian. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
I can give you some right now, which I've used myself. So someone number one, and the question I ask depends on, because different clients are at different levels of knowledge of CMMC. So some are almost clueless, some are very well informed. So depending on where you're on that spectrum, we will determine what question I ask. But here are some examples. One is, hey, do you have DFAR 7012 in your contracts? That's an easier one. If you have DFAR 7012, then you have to comply with NIST 2171. We're not even talking CMMC yet. But guess what? CMMC is built off of NIST 2171. So if you already have DFAR 7012 in your contracts, you might as well start getting ready for CMMC as well. And you can tell them upfront, say, hey, they shouldn't even get bogged down with the whole, CMMC is not happening, or it's still a proposed rule. Tell them right now, since December 31st, 2017, they have an obligation, a contractual obligation, to meet all 110 or all 320 assessment objectives in the 71. That's one. And obviously, a very easy one that brings almost all defense contractors in scope is FAR-52, the basic cyber hygiene. That clause is almost in all, DoD contracts, almost all. I don't want to say all. So, do they have FAR-52, which they most likely do? The other one will be DFAR 7012. And then, depending, the third piece, which doesn't come up often, is ITAR. If they have any ITAR requirements, then it's not necessarily in the 80171, but it can be a conversation starter. But two simple ones are, hey, do you have the FAR 7012 contract in your 7012 clause in your contracts, or do you have FAR-52? So those are, because even the FAR-52, those are 17 or so controls are also from the 80171 as well. So those are two examples, of where we could start, or where you can start.
Yeah, so that's a great one. And by the way, the FAR clause applies to all federal contracts, not just DoD. So anything that's federal, right, has to at least meet those 15 controls. And because of the way the doctrine, it's called something called the Christian doctrine, which is from like the 1800s or something like that. If a clause of FAR clause is not included in the contract, but it should have been, the expectation is that you're still meeting it, and you can be held accountable for it. And that FAR clause is one of those clauses, because everybody has federal contract information, and that says if you have federal contract information, you have to abide by these 15 controls to protect it. Doesn't matter whether it's specified in your contract or not. Everybody that has a federal contract is compelled, and they could be held accountable if the government would do it, for not having done those 15 controls. And those are not easy. There's not 15 easy controls. So just FYI, I mean, that's something to hit your clients with.
Yeah.
You're out of compliance with your contract already, because you're not doing this stuff.
So in the Christian, I may not be saying this right. In the Christian clause, even if it's not stated, and there is CUI involved, then
If you know you're processing, storing, or transmitting CUI, and
it's not in the contract, you're
for
still.
some reason they didn't put DFAR 7012, you are still held accountable for it.
Whoa! All right, see, that's another freak. That would be a great bullet to have when talking to prospects, or existing clients for that matter.
Yeah. And if you
Copilot, did you get that?
And if you have, and by contrast, if you have the DFAR 7012 clause, but you don't currently have any CUI, that doesn't mean you don't have to comply. The government might at any time say, hey, we want to send you CUI. And you say, wait a minute, I don't comply with 800-171, where they could just say, well, you signed a contract that says you do. Even though you don't currently have CUI, they want to send us something. They could say, well, you're not in compliance with the contract. We're going to pull it. You won't get prosecuted like you would otherwise by, but you might lose your contract.
Yeah, for blatantly doing something, but like.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
John, those are good examples.
Yeah, those are great. All right, gentlemen, it is 5:57, so I'm going to cut us off here. Tom has had me on calls all day long, so.
Brian, the only last thing I'll say is that it'd be nice to be able to access this in stream, because then I could look at the chapters and stuff and go back and reflect and see all that sort of stuff, as opposed to like YouTube.
Yeah, well, I need an MSP to set that up for me so I can share it properly. But so what? I mean, we're right now. I get what you're saying, Sean. But
I'm happy to help in some way too. If you need my help, we do that already, like internally. It's like if you do need help, just if you ever need help.
I mean, it's the sharing piece of it that's the challenge. And share, opening up to share with external people. I've had such challenges with that recently, but it's just because I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah, it's just you don't want to. I mean, bottom line is you don't want to create an anonymous link that anybody could use without authenticating, and you want to create a link with certain people or groups. So as you add members, you might have a group that you give access to, and then you add members to that group and ensure that they are registered. And that's how you would probably want to accomplish that, to have a video library inside of SharePoint that would automatically have chapterization, people throwing up comments as well in there, and having that as like a comment thing. So like as people are watching the freaking videos, they could be commenting, calling out people, and then you could have like a little bit of a banter going on in there too.
You can do that in stream.
You can do that in stream.
Okay, interesting. So
if you need me help, let me know.
I'm undoubtedly will. I'm not gonna touch that until probably the second week of August. If I
just keep these videos.
I'm leaving on vacation, by the way.
If you keep these videos, we can do it all at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping them all, and what we're doing is we're just editing them, putting them in YouTube, and then posting the link on the Slack channel. But if I can do it easier, we'll jump on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do like the idea of, can I still edit out all my faux pas and stream?
Yeah.
Oh,
You can do it right in
okay.
stream.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
Easily. Very
I'm down with
easily.
that then.
You can edit it in Stream. Stream has an editor to trim and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not,
Super
I'm
easy.
not playing with it. All right.
And
so
you
we'll-
don't have to and you don't have to download the whole friggin' file and then upload it to another
Yeah,
place and all that sort of
is a
stuff.
pain and it takes forever.
Well, that's the thing is that like you're already recording it. All you do is you would this records, for example, into your OneDrive, and then you
Yeah.
just take it and you hit the move button into your video library, into your SharePoint site.
Yeah.
That is already automatically set, it's shared by everybody. Once you edit it in your OneDrive, and you have your editor person have access to your OneDrive, and then they just move it into the video library, and then blammo, you're cooking with gas.
All right. Well, and when I get back from my vacay, I will. I'm going to take you up on that offer.
Yeah, just call me, man. I'll show you what we do. You know, and then
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I definitely will. Thank you for that.
Cool. Yeah.
So next Tuesday we're going to have a meeting. So we'll have the Tuesday morning session, but next Thursday evening we will not. I don't know exactly how to cancel them, but I'm going to put it up on Slack to say that's canceled. Then the next two are going to be canceled because I'm going to be in Hawaii. So I'll come back. We'll do it on the Thursday, August 8th will be the next one after next Tuesday. So just FYI, I'll put it up on the SharePoint. I mean on the Slack channel. So all right, thanks for jumping in. This has been good. I've been enjoying these have been great topics coming out. We just got to get the community working on the solutions to everything.
yeah.
All
Figure
right.
it out.
Appreciate it.
All right. See y'all later.
Thanks.
All right. Take
Thanks,
care.
guys.
Later, you dudes. Later.